Hello and welcome back. This is Don't Watch at Night, a spooky little podcast dedicated to Spanish language horror and Latin American horror. I'm your host, Valerie.
And I'm Veronica.
And I was just asking Ronnie before we started, I was just asking her what she was up to today. And you said you slept till noon?
I slept till noon, which
Nice.
is weird because usually my bladder will force me out of bed at least by 10.
Well, how late did you stay up?
Not very late. I mean, I'm usually up till like midnight, maybe 1. But it's just, I haven't slept well this week in particular. So I think it's just a cumulative effect of fatigue just finally hitting me. So we just kind of went to have lunch, went to the grocery store, came home, and I was kind of chilled until it was time to do this. Yeah. We are going to a movie later tonight, though. After
what are you seeing?
I think the new Gladiator movie.
Oh, okay. All right. Are you going to go see Wicked? It's like all over my feed everywhere. And
Bella wants to see. It's like almost 3 hours long.
Is it?
Yes. It's like,
how long is the Gladiator movie?
It's long. It's over 2 hours also. I don't know what is the deal with these long ass movies all of a sudden.
I can't make it through a 3-hour movie anymore without going to the bathroom.
I mean, I did it for the Lord of the Rings movies, but that was Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
And
power through. Didn't you go see the Batman in theaters, or am I making that up?
Yeah.
And that's another 3-hour movie. I thought that was a 3-hour movie.
But that was a good movie.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So this is, at the time that this will post, this will be, are you taking any days off this coming week, this holiday week?
I have Thanksgiving off, but I have to work the day after Thanksgiving because they implemented this new dumb policy that like social work department has to have 50% coverage. So that means like at least we can't ever fall below being 50% staffed in whatever program. So if I want off like the days after Christmas, then I have to work, which is okay, I guess.
Yeah. But well, the kids are going to be off. So as Ron knows, we are planning to, we're off-gridding it. We are running away for 3 days. The world is a mess. Everything is fallen to crap. So we're going to go check out for like 3 days and go to some cabins in, hill country of Texas. And so we'll be there in time to maybe. So there's a state park in Texas called Lost Maples State Park. It's apparently one of the only places in the state of Texas where you can go, where there's maple trees, and you can go and potentially see a changing of leaves happen, which is not something that you normally associate with Texas. You normally associate that with the Northeast and Midwest even. So hopefully we'll see some leaves changing. I don't know. It's November. It's like end of November, and I got bit by a mosquito today. So I'm in my house sweating. So
it did happen to us last night also. Husband and I had gone out to eat, and then on our way back, we swung through the drive-through at a fast food to pick up food for the youngest child because he can't eat what everybody else eats. And we're just minding our business at a total standstill, waiting to place our order at the, speaker box, when all of a sudden we hear screeching tires and bam, someone rear ends us in the drive-through line.
Are you serious?
Yep.
When was this, yesterday?
Last night.
Oh my God, Veronica, what's going on with you and your family and car situations?
Somebody put a curse on us.
Why were they ramming into the drive-through? Like, what the heck?
I don't know. The husband, because it was the wife driving, and the husband.
Jesus.
From what Robert, it sounded to me like it was one of those cars with like autopilot driving, which is why I don't trust those things. But it didn't. I don't know. That's what he said.
Oh my God. How bad was the damage, dude?
It wasn't too bad. It's just mostly like cosmetic, but still, I was like, the minute it happened, I was like, yes, of course this is happening to us. Of course this would happen to us.
Well, this tracks. So
yes, this is the way where things are going lately.
Oh, well, I'm sorry to hear that. That sucks. That really, in the drive-through of all places, that's just ridiculous. I was gonna say, my next question was gonna be like, what time of night was this? Were they drunk? Were they high? Like, what was going on? But all right. Well, so we are heading into holiday mode here on the show, and the movie that we picked to watch for this episode just kind of serendipitously falls in line with holiday season, which is nice because it'll lead us right into what the next month will be about, which is what I had talked to Veronica. I said, hey, why don't we make this one of our, every so often we'll do, well, we need to come up with a better name for it, because I don't like the word branch out month. That sounds very corporate America. So we need to come up with a better name for it. But a month where we will venture out of the realm of Spanish language horror and maybe look at horror films in other boxes, because there's so much out there and there's no way we can cover it all. So we've only done this one other month this year. This past summer, we took a look at some films outside of Spanish language territory. So that's going to be kind of what I'm hoping December will be about. We'll take a look at some movies outside of Spanish language horror, maybe potentially, hopefully Christmas oriented. But yeah, I guess we can go ahead and get into what we watched this time around. Is there anything else we wanted to mention up top? Anything am I forgetting any major announcements before we start?
No, just, I don't know if you want to say anything about book club yet, or wait till the end.
Yeah, we'll cover that in second segment. We do have some fun announcements coming up in second segment, so don't skip. Okay, well we'll get right into it then. So this week we took a look at 1995's El Día de la Bestia, or The Day of the Beast, directed by Álex de la Iglesia and starring Álex Angulo, Armando de Razza, and Santiago Segura, and other people, but those are our three primary people. It's currently available on Amazon Prime, so if you have not seen this movie yet, go ahead and hit pause and go give it a watch and then come back. Otherwise, just know there's going to be spoilers ahead. Let me read a little blip about the movie here. It says, determined to commit as many sins as possible to avert the birth of the beast and the end of the world, dedicated Catholic priest Father Ángel Beriatua heads to Madrid to find the infant Antichrist with the help of a psychic and heavy metal fan. So this was my first time to see this movie. I think it was also Ronnie's first time to see it as well. Mm-hmm. So Ron, what did you think of this undeniably Christmas-oriented movie? Dia de la Bestia.
Well, first of all, I had gotten, for some reason, I thought we were doing podcasts last weekend, so I watched this last week. So
you already saw it?
I saw it like a week ago. So my memory's going to be a little fuzzy.
You didn't say anything to me about it. I didn't know you'd already seen it.
I didn't. Well, I mean, I didn't. I saw it. I only watched it for this podcast. I just watched it early because I got our recording dates.
But like this whole week went by and you didn't mention that you already seen it. So, okay.
But so I'm a little fuzzy on it, and I was going to plan to rewatch it, but I just didn't have time to do that. But
well, and then you got hit in the drive-thru, so
yes, other things happened, but I mean, I thought it was okay. It wasn't, I think I was expecting more I think it's kind of billed as a dark comedy, and it did have some funny moments, mostly coming from, I don't even know their names. I don't remember their names. The heavy metal rock dude.
Jose Maria.
Jose Maria.
Yeah. Yeah, he's
primarily him, but it wasn't as funny as I thought it was going to be.
Thought it was going to be.
Yeah. Definitely weird. Definitely off the wall.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty fun. Not a whole lot of bells and whistles to it, but I don't think it really needed to have that, in my opinion. It kind of was aiming, I think, for that kind of campy dark comedy realm, as I think you said. So I think it achieved that. I agree. Jose Maria is by far one of the funnier characters in this movie. There were, and this is kind of what I was thinking as I was watching it, because I kept having to back up scenes, and I was realizing it was because there's actually a lot of physical comedy going on in this movie, and so I was trying to concentrate so much on the dialogue, and then my attention would get distracted by what's going on in the background in some of these scenes, usually Jose Maria. Mm-hmm. And so I'd have to back it up and like start it again so that I could focus on the dialogue. But yeah, so a lot of funny moments in that way. I guess one thing I did want to say up top, because we have resources for you guys like we always do. Ron, I don't know if you caught this particular one I flagged, but from the Nerdist online, the nerdist.com, they say of De La Iglesia's work that his His output beginning in 1993 combines his comic book art background with themes of extreme violence and blasphemy and dark comedy and folklore into something that's uniquely fascinating. And so I went looking at that because he is a kind of an artist in the comic book realm, and he began drawing comics in fanzines such as No El Fanzine Maldito and Metacrilato. And he has also said before that Alex Raymond, who created Flash Gordon, and Stan Lee, those are among his major sources of inspiration as a comics artist. So I thought that was kind of neat.
I did not know that about his history, but I can see that because there were some shots where I can easily convert them in my mind to a panel out of a graphic novel, like the one where near the end where the goat-looking beast thing is holding up Jose Maria? Is that his
name? Yes. Yeah.
Jose Maria, and there's like the vortex or whatever in the background. Like that would easily make a pretty striking panel in a graphic novel.
Yeah. I agree. I agree with you on that. I didn't. De la Iglesia is only 58 years old, so there's probably a wealth of wonderful work still to come from him. But is there anything else you wanted to say before we launch into anything? I feel like you're going to be super rusty on this movie, and I'm going to... I took notes, so I should be ready to go. I should be okay, but...
All right.
But there's things that I'm going to need help with, because the other thing I observed about this movie was I felt like it moved really fast. And I felt like, especially the scenes where the priest is really trying to explain his little end of the world conspiracy, I wasn't quite following what his plan was.
I didn't. I've got lots of questions, and not a lot of questions. I just have questions. And then I'm thinking, well, it's a dark comedy. Maybe I'm trying to overthink it. And
right. At a certain point, you just got to run with it and have fun with it. Yeah.
But I was like, this doesn't make sense. And why is he doing this? Why? Just why?
Just why? Why? All right. Well, we can go ahead and start in then on our opening. So we have this nervous looking priest who's making his way through a courtyard, and he kept looking over his shoulder. So I kept thinking somebody was chasing him or something. So he makes his way into a church where he goes up to this altar to talk in confidence with another priest, with a friend of his, right? Mm-hmm. I didn't get the guy's name. Did you get the guy's name? Okay.
Nope.
And it's important to know, so this main guy, our priest, his name is Father, what did I say? Bariatua? Is that right? Bariatua? Angel Bariatua. But he's billed on IMDb, he's billed as just cura, so priest. So we can just call him the priest for the remainder of this movie. But he confesses that he goes, "Bless me, Father, for I have sinned." And he goes like, "What have you done?" He goes, I'm something to the effect of, "I'm going to commit all the evil that I can." And he something about how he's deciphered a code, and it has something to do with like the ruin of man or the ruin of humanity, something like that. And his priest friend is telling him, give this up. What has it gotten you? This is going to ruin you. Is there anything like, this is something I was kind of going to look to you right off the bat to help me with, like specifically, what is he articulating to the priest in this opening sequence?
He's just saying that somehow, and I think it was the book of Revelations, that there's a code, and I don't how the code works made no sense to me, but he's broken this code, and somehow he has figured out that the Antichrist is going to be born that night, somewhere in Madrid. He doesn't know where. And so his plan to kind of save mankind from the Antichrist is to commit all the evil that he can, so that somehow he will ingratiate himself with Satan and get close enough to the newborn Antichrist infant so that he can kill the infant and thus save mankind. So this is the incredibly well thought out plan that we're working with.
It's foolproof.
So, what could go wrong?
And so yes, he's resolved that this is how he can save humanity. So the two priests, they're feeling confident about this, that I think the priest friend of his, whose name we don't get, says, we can stick together. We'll do this together, yada, yada, yada. They get up to exit the church, and the giant cross over the front of the church breaks and falls right down on top of his priest friend, crushing and killing him instantly. Mm-hmm. And so that's the opening of our movie, is just immediately, which I thought was kind of funny. We go right from there to a series. It's the opening credit scenes where we're getting the priest make it into the city of Madrid. He's walking through the city, committing all kinds of little minor sins. I don't even know if
there were sins. They're just kind of mean.
But... Well, you want to take us through what some of them were? What
I can recall, he's walking along. There's like it was one of those people that's like playing an instrument, like homeless, basically, with their little hat to collect money from passersby. Well, he goes through and he steals that money. Yes. From the street performer. There's a mime standing up like over what looks like stairs that lead down to an underground subway. He shoves him off that, so he falls.
That's right.
He comes across a dying person.
Yes, there's like a car crash or something, and the police officer is essentially trying to usher him over to give last rites to the guy. Mm-hmm. And instead he doesn't. He takes the dude's wallet and tells him, "I hope you rot in hell." So yeah. So yeah, not particularly nice, but not like the worst things that you could do, I suppose. And then
although he also for me, and I pretty early on at this point, I was like, okay, I already don't like you.
Well, he's doing it to save mankind.
I don't care. I'm like, I already don't like you. He does, I wanted him to show a little remorse. I mean, he's a priest, for freak's sake, but
he does also steal a dude's suitcase, a dude who presumably is trying to get to the airport or something. He steals a suitcase right off the sidewalk and ends up somehow in front of a heavy metal shop, like a music shop. Mm-hmm. And so this is where we meet Jose Maria. He walks into the shop, and Jose Maria runs the shop, and he's trying to find like the heaviest metal music that he can, because he's convinced that this is like a gateway towards meeting the devil. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you had anything you wanted to say about Jose Maria. I thought he would he's like trying to find heavy metal music for the priest, and so he'll put something on, and then he'll just be there in the background, like, yeah, it's pretty funny. I don't know. Is there anything else you wanted to say about him?
About Jose Maria?
Yeah, or just like anything that I'm missing in terms of what they discuss. I know, like at some point, Jose Maria,
the priest is asking him a place to stay. Is asking him to like play the records backwards, because I don't know, back in the day, people thought that there were kind of subliminal messages in rock music if you played the record backwards. When was this movie come out? The 90s?
1995.
Yeah. Okay.
I think it came out in 1995 in Spain, and then I think it maybe hit US theaters like 3 years later or something. But anyway, yeah.
So I don't recall them really picking out any messages, listening to it backwards, but somewhere in the conversation, Jose Maria, I guess his mother owns a hostel or runs a hostel.
Yes, that's right. That's right. I couldn't think of the word. I was like, a house hotel, but you're right. It's a hostel. He says hostel.
And so he invites the priest to come or he sends the priest there, tell him I sent you and you'll get a room there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the priest makes his way.
Yes. And we meet Mina, who's this young girl who I guess stays there, but also works there. And she sets the priest up with a room there. We also meet Jose Maria's mother, who I thought was another like particularly funny character that delivered some good laughs for me. Played by, and I'm probably going to butcher this, Terele Paves. So she's the one who plays a mother, and did a lot of physical comedy coming from that performance. She passed away in 2017. I noted that. Yeah. But she was in a ton of movies. So if you're interested, guys, go and dig up her filmography, because she has a really long list. But yeah, I don't even remember. I watched it again this morning. Like I just caught snippets of it. And so when she's lecturing Mina the next day on like, how could you bring this person into our house? And da-da-da-da-da, she's just going on. And she's just like, he could be a killer. He could be whatever.
She watches Dateline, obviously.
She watches little bit racist. Like she's just throwing out stuff and chopping up this rabbit as she's doing it.
Oh yeah, that was gross. They ate a lot of rabbit stew in this hostel, apparently.
And Mina's like, well, it's a friend of your son's and he came from your son. And she's like, that's even worse. so
she was character reference. Do you always watch, just as a quick aside, do you always watch all the movies twice? Like sometimes I find I'm struggling to find time to just watch them the one time.
No, as a matter of fact, this was the first one in a while that I've watched twice. And the only reason I did is because it was free on Amazon Prime. I mean, I won't pay for something twice. So, but I figured because it's just like one ear and out the other, I'm like a little goldfish sometimes. Like I figured I need all the help I can get to like watch it a second time and actually take more detailed notes. But
don't forget the grandfather.
Yes. Yes. You wanted to tell people about the grandfather.
Old granddad who just walks around in an open shirt, and that's pretty much it, folks.
No lines. No lines.
He just walks around butt naked except for that open shirt and
full frontal nudity. So
yes.
Unpleasant.
I was watching it from like a distance because the TV's like at one end, and I was watching it in bed, and I had to actually like pause it and like go and look closer. I was like, "Am I seeing what I think I'm seeing?" Yes,
like,
yes, it is.
Yes, it is. Again and again, we see him more than once in the movie, but yeah. So okay,
the pain you never needed to see.
So eventually, are there any revelations made in this sequence where we're meeting the grandfather? Jose Maria's there.
No, we just find out that Jose Maria's like he's pretty sweet on Mina, and
that's right.
She dresses like not like a French maid, but she's got the body, and she's not afraid to.
But she's innocent. She's very innocent. So
she seems very sweet and very trusting, and
So eventually, I have my next thing was like the priest makes it over to a bookstore, and he's attempting to steal a book by a man named, we come to find out, is Professor Cavan. A man he believes can bring him that much closer to meeting the devil because this man is a TV celebrity figure. He's a psychic. He has his own show called The Dark Zone, and he's just this master of the occult or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything in particular that you wanted to note about Professor Cavan? That's what I had.
No, it looks like one of those shows that you find on TV showing at like 1 a.m.
Right. 1-800 number.
Yeah, 1-800 number. It seems like a scam.
Send $5 right now in order to secure your place in heaven, something like that. So, the priest and Jose Maria decide that they're going to. So I should say the priest gets arrested for trying to, escorted out by probably
he steals the book, or he says,
he steals the book.
He gets the book. I'm not paying for it.
I know he's very. I appreciate his blatant sense of blatant honesty. I'm not going to pay you for it, and also I hope you rot in hell. So. But he gets escorted out by like mall security guards or something to that effect, and he's another thing that he's earnestly honest and forthcoming about is that it does seem like to everyone he meets, he tries to openly tell them what he's looking to do. Like, well, I stole the book because I'm hoping to meet the devil and make a pact with the devil and save all of humanity. Just talking like a crazy person to everyone that he can. But I guess at some point he does get released by these security guards. He gets sent packing, and the priest and Jose Maria decide they're going to follow that Professor Cavan home from his studio and plead to him for help. So I don't know if you wanted to mention the convenience store scene on the way home where Professor Cavan stops in the convenience store that has just recently been robbed, and he steps over.
Oh yeah, we should probably mention that kind of in the news we're getting sprinkled throughout this movie that there's apparently like a group of unknown people that are kind of killing homeless people and then spray painting or somehow writing on walls, clean up Madrid. So there's this whole little background thing going in the, stuff happening in the background.
Yeah, like attacks on unhoused individuals and like spray painting Clean Up Madrid, which is kind of ironic. Like Clean Up Madrid with all of our graffiti that we're displaying everywhere.
Yeah. And
But
the fact that we're committing, physical violence on these homeless people.
Exactly. And there is like something, that particular scene where Professor Cavan stops at the convenience shop, and those Clean Up Madrid people have just been through. They attacked the clerks that work there, and he's just casually stepping over them. The way he did that, that had immediately kind of set my mind wondering if, like, well, maybe this guy is the devil in the flesh. Like, what if he turns out that this guy is the devil? That's where my mind was going with that. So I don't know if you thought the same thing or.
No, I thought that was just, kind of typical how we all do, right? We walk around and we don't see the unpleasant things that we don't want to see, the problems of people needing help. It's kind of like I'm not getting involved, and maybe a little cynical and almost like not touched, not letting it emotionally or mentally touch you. You're just kind of going, he just goes in, gets what he wants, like business as usual, even though there's clearly people in distress around him.
Right. So yes, so the priest gets to Cavan's house and makes an appeal for help, and he's getting rejected because, as far as Cavan is concerned,
sound crazy at all.
It's like, here's this man who's shown up to your residence, your private residence, and is just like, I need your help. So
to meet the devil.
To meet the devil, yeah. So Father Bariatua,
just priest
just resorts to knocking Cavan out. So when Cavan finally comes to, he's been tied up in his home, and the priest is there trying to, again, plead with him, make his crazy case. And so this is where the priest tries to explain his theory, and I was hoping that you understood it, because I was not really following it.
No, it didn't make sense. And poor Cavan is trying to get them to understand that he's just a scammer, basically. He's just a con man, and then he's like, nothing that he says is real. Nothing that he says or purports to know is real, but they don't believe him.
Yeah. I don't know. Again, this is like, while he's trying to explain to the priest that none of this is real, Jose Maria does come up because he's been approached by police. Like, the police officers downstairs are like, you need to move your car. You can't park here. And so Jose Maria comes up and he's like, hey, we got to go. And then he gets this was another kind of physical comedy stuff happening that I really appreciated, where Jose Maria is wandering around the house, touching all of Cavan's expensive things and expensive art, breaking everything. And Cavan is just like, what are you people doing? I don't know. Like, I guess Professor Cavan he starts instructing the priest on how to commune with the devil in this like made up notion of how you're supposed to do it.
Yeah, he figures the easiest way to get out of this mess is just to, lead them down the little garden path and go along to get along. And
let them figure it out for themselves that this is all phony. But he tells them, you got to draw a pinnacle in the middle of the floor. At first he says you need some sort of a mushroom, but they don't have mushrooms. But Jose Maria is like, well, I've got LSD. So LSD. And Cavan is like, it doesn't matter what you use. This is all a bunch of crap. None of this is real. So he says you're also going to need a maiden's blood. And specifically, it has to be a virgin, of course. So Cavan's girlfriend won't do because she's not a girlfriend. And we do get a funny scene where she shows up and immediately Cavan is like, run. And so she takes off and she's running down the stairs away from this priest. She's not running very well. It's not very effective getting away. So she falls and is knocked unconscious, and he drags her up the stairs back into the apartment. And the priest takes off to go back because he's like, I know where we can get a virgin's blood. He rightly guesses that Mina is a virgin. So I don't know if you want to talk about that attack or how he goes about trying to secure her blood.
He returns back to the hostel. Mina's it's Christmas Eve.
Christmas
right?
Eve.
This is Christmas Eve. And so she's busy, making all the little Christmas treats and whatnot. Apparently the lady of the house, Jose, what is his name? Jose Maria?
Yeah. I don't think we ever learn her name. Just the mother.
Just the mother. She's apparently like resting in the bedroom. Mina's doing all the work. The priest comes back and he his plan is to drug her. So he's like mixed up some kind of drink for her, and he's trying to get her to drink it, and it takes a minute because she's not really interested. He's kind of getting creepier and creepier, and she's
it is a creepy scene. You're
yes,
just like
little alarm bells are going off in her head.
You're standing too close, sir.
Yes, no personal space. So she finally drinks the drink, and of course knocks her out. He drags her to the bedroom, and he's got a knife. He's ready to cut her to draw some blood when
that's right.
The mom, Jose Maria's mother, gets wind of what's happening. This was actually the part that I liked best in the movie.
She goes full on assault, man.
She goes Sarah Connor. She grabs her pump action rifle and she starts blasting it. And I was like, yes, shoot him. She like nicks his ear and she's chasing him.
The smallest little man, and Veronica wants him dead.
I do. I was not dead, but I wanted him to Yeah. So she's chasing him around the apartment and shooting, and he runs out the apartment and he's running down the stairs and she's shooting, and somehow I don't remember, how did she fall, or
I think she just
went over the railing.
I can't remember if he pushed her or what. She just went over the railing.
Yeah.
A freak accident or something, but I mean, hit every single rail on the way down.
Yes, on the way down, poor lady.
So
I was bummed because I was like, man, I wanted her to shoot him in the leg or something.
I know. She fired, she clipped his ear pretty bad. But yeah, she kicked his butt. He shows back up to Kavan's house just looking trashed. Meanwhile, back at Kavan's house, Susanna has kind of come to. She's trying to escape again. Jose Maria is chasing her around the apartment. Once again, this woman is not effectively running at full capacity, so she does not get away.
Lady.
She does not get away, and is greeted at the door by the priest, who's returned holding the shotgun. So now we're ready for the ritual. The priest, the professor, the heavy metal dude, they've got their pinnacle, their LSD, their virgin blood. They're ready to go. So it's time for the invocation. And then, do you want to talk people through, once they take all of that stuff and he reads the invocation, you want to take them through what happens next? Do you remember what happens next?
A goat shows up, although I don't know if that goat was real or if that was the LSD.
That's what I was wondering too. This on the second watch, I was just like, is any of this real? Maybe this is just all a really
I was thinking
bad
it was
trip.
Just the LSD, but who knows?
It is a black goat that enters the apartment. Yeah,
it is a goat that. And what else did they see? Wasn't there something else?
There's like a roach or something.
Oh yeah, a roach that comes up, and
but
neither one will cross over the line of the circle of the pinnacle.
And so they're convinced that it's it is in fact the evil, because otherwise they would be able to cross over.
This worked.
I have to tell you, Veronica, between this movie and When Evil Lurks, I kind of want a black goat. Part of me's like, I want a little black goat. They're so cute.
So this kind of converts Professor Cavan. Now he's thinking, okay, these idiots are onto something.
Who, mind you, they've all taken the LSD at this point, so worth noting that. But they hear a banging at the door. We never even learn who's on the other side of that door, but they're convinced that is the devil that they wanted to meet with is at their door. But what do? They chicken out and decide that they're going to exit out the window of this high-rise apartment and climb down while on LSD. So
what could go wrong?
My PSA to everyone is, guys, don't drop acid and then climb down a high-rise building. It's not going to go well. It is frowned upon. Don't do it. And then it is right around this time that they're outside scaling this large building that Mr. Jose Maria's
he gets
LSD trip kicks in, and he has a hysterical giggle fit. Damn near kills himself twice. And in my opinion, Veronica, I think they saved this man one time too many, because the first time, okay, I get it. You pull him back. The second time, when he purposely tries to fall off in his little hysterical giggle fit, I say let him go. I'm not saying I would do it with joy, but it's either him or me.
That part did get a little annoying with the laughing, the constant laughing. I was like, okay, it's time for mute. Time to hit the mute button.
And in the process of trying to save his butt again, it's Professor Kavan who pitches over and falls. And so you think, oh my God, this dude who didn't even ask for any of this is falling to his death. But thankfully, he does land on like a building sign. So it kind of breaks his fall and he makes it. And the priest and Jose Maria manage to sneak their way downstairs and out of the building. Because at this point, police have shown up.
Mm-hmm.
They've pulled what's his face Kavan off the sign. They're taking him to the hospital. So the priest and Jose Maria are on the run. What happens next? Where do they end up after that?
They're chasing down some guy, or they stop in at a meeting. What was that meeting?
Like an academic lecture or something.
Yeah, it was like some kind of lecture, but I don't even know
on Christmas Eve.
I don't remember what the topic was. Something about the topic that
Nostradamus,
made the priest,
wasn't it?
Oh yeah, he was talking about Nostradamus. So this, the priest has no plan. Can we just say he's just winging this? Like he's latching on to any little thing that seems like it might be remotely connected. And so he gets it in his head that this lecturer, whose name I also don't remember.
I don't think we learn it. Yeah.
That he is somehow now the person who can lead him to the devil or tell him how to make content. So they're chasing this poor man through the city.
Mind you, keep in mind both Jose Maria and the priest, like I said, they look beat up as hell. Mm-hmm. So they look like crazy. Like they just look
like
insane.
The priest is missing a piece of his ear. It's all bloody. They finally catch him, and the man convinces them that because he doesn't know squat, he's just a lecturer running from crazy
like
people.
A professor. Yeah, and meanwhile, Professor Kavan has made his way back over to his studio because he's talking to his like producer guy or something, and he's like, "We're gonna go live. We're doing a live show." I don't know why. His idea is just that he'll be able to, I guess, help the priest and Jose Maria from his studio. What do I have?
And at some point, the priest and Jose Maria are like sitting down like at a bus stop, and Jose Maria tells the priest, "Stay here. I'm going to go find us a car. We got to get out of here." And so he leaves to go find a car. Jose Maria then sees across the street this SUV of men stop, and several men jump out, and they start attacking like this. I don't even know if that man was homeless, but just start attacking this man there. And this is that group that we've been hearing about in the background on the news. They attack this man. They write the Clean Up Madrid. They set him on fire. And the priest is just watching all this happen. Once the men drive away, then he goes over there and like puts the fire out and sees his
shirt. It's like a t-shirt that he's wearing.
That's kind the name of a club, right?
Either the club or the band that Jose Maria tried to get him clued in on. Either way, he's like, "Oh yeah, that band is playing tonight," because that's what Jose Maria told him.
This is a sign.
This is the sign I needed, because he was having like a crisis of faith, and so he takes off. He takes off to go to this club, and what did I say? He goes to this club, heavy metal music playing. He sees a pregnant woman. And he goes up and he touches the pregnant woman, which, generally, no matter where you are, not a good thing to do. And you will get it. So he gets assaulted by the guys in the club who decide to gang up and protect the pregnant woman. They beat him to a bloody pulp, leave him for dead in the bathroom. Thankfully, Jose Maria shows up and pulls his butt out of there. And then from there, like he pulls him back over to a bench near a payphone. And Jose Maria gets on the payphone, calls in to Kavan's show, and Kavan starts speaking to the priest and is trying to explain to him that he's on his side. He had looked. Sorry, there's like loud people on the outside of my house, like on the other side of the window here. So if you hear them in the recording, no, they're just being loud, but like loud and celebratory. But if you hear them in the recording, my apologies. But anyway, I meant to say this back when we were talking about Kavan in his studio getting ready to do his live show. He had been studying his own book where he had put images of old historical documents. I put that in parentheses, historical documents of that show the devil's signature, these signed pacts and the devil's mark, essentially. And so he's telling the priest over the phone now that he's discovered the mark of the devil. He knows where the Antichrist is going to be born.
This didn't really make sense to me either.
None of that made sense, but that is like, that is what he's saying. And he's just like, I need to find you guys. And the priest is saying, it's possible that I'm crazy. It's possible that I have the wrong idea. Yeah, let me see. Let me make sure I'm covering everything as I go through my notes. Yeah, so Kavan shows up, pulls the two of them into his car. So our trio is reunited, and Kavan is showing him all the documents that bear out the devil's marks. And so he's explaining the significance of the shape of those marks in relation to, I guess, where he perceives the devil's going to be, or the Antichrist is going to be born. Because he's like, if the shape of Christ is a cross, and somehow all churches resemble a cross, which I don't necessarily feel that to be the case, but maybe, I don't know. But that's what he says. Yeah. Then the devil's mark, which is sort of like a upside down V, would the building or the structure where that would be would look like that. And so that takes us to the landmark in the movie is one that people in Spain might know. It's the Gate of Europe, also known as the Keogh Towers, if I'm saying that right. So there's nothing, I read up about this structure. There's nothing particularly special about it. These are office buildings, but it is the second tallest twin towers in Spain. So that's where he envisions the Antichrist is going to be born. So that's just something to know. And so, yeah, they take off for these twin towers. Do you want to tell them where do they end up? A parking garage? Is it a parking garage?
No, it wasn't a parking. It looked to me like an abandoned building. Like at least the part that they entered looked abandoned. It was boarded up, but they get in there. They hear an infant crying. Mm-hmm. So they follow
the sound,
sound, and you never really actually see the baby. It looks like there's people sleeping underneath cardboard boxes, like disassembled cardboard boxes, and the crying is coming from underneath that.
And you do see the goat. The goat is there. Did you see the goat? The black goat.
I don't
black
remember.
Goat was there. Yeah. Oh, the black goat was there for sure. Okay. Because I remember seeing that and they have like a little makeshift fire going, and I was just thinking, oh well, this is kind of like the manger scene, because they do say that in the movie that wherever the Antichrist would be born, the devil would seek to sort of it would be mocking the birth of Christ. So we would be mocking that element. So that's sort of what I took it at. It's like, oh, it does kind of look like a manger scene where this would be born, or this would be happening. But like, at what point do the Clean Up Madrid people show up?
Like soon after that, like almost immediately. And I don't know why they suddenly show. This is where the movie is like stopped making a lot of sense for me. I'm like, why?
Just now where it stops making sense.
Well, yeah, there's lots of parts, but because the whole purpose, the priest's whole mission was to kill the Antichrist, right? Well, then they get there, there's an infant there crying, there's the black goat that you see there. So all the signs, right, that should tell the priest, okay,
this is
mission accomplished. This is it. This is your moment. Frodo, drop the ring in the fires of Mordor, and he doesn't. He hesitates. And
do you think this is where he had a moment of hesitation, because he's just like, I can't hurt a baby? I was expecting that. I was expecting he was going to find this child and then not be able to do it because it is a baby.
I was thinking, like, dang, is this movie actually going to show us, the murder of an infant? Which they kind of do.
They kind of do.
Just not by the person who was supposed to have done it. Yeah. I think while he's hesitating, then shots just start coming, and it's the Clean Up Madrid people that have shown up. Yeah. And so our trio scatters and hides, and the Clean Up Madrid people come up, and they pretty much just shoot whoever is sleeping under those.
They just like lay down a row of bullets.
Under those cardboard boxes, including the baby. So they just shoot them all down. And as we're looking, is this where?
Well, see, like I couldn't remember. I couldn't remember how they separate.
Non-human shapes.
Well, yeah, because like they separate at some point. Jose Maria and the priest go somewhere, and Cavan gets caught by their other Clean Up Madrid people, and this is where they like have him on the ground. They're beating him up.
Mm-hmm.
They're preparing to set him on fire as well. But I wasn't clear on where the priest and Jose Maria went.
They
upstairs.
Go up. They go up because that's what people in movies.
To a higher level.
Yes, that's what people in movies that are running from somebody always do. Is they go up. I don't know why, because you can't get away going up. But they go up to the very, very tippy top, and I don't know who is it that sees the Clean Up Madrid people not as people but as
I don't know if
other,
it was the
other creatures.
I don't know if Jose Maria saw it as well, but I got the sense that it was the priest who's seeing it, because it's his POV of him looking and seeing that. And I don't know if that was real, or is this just an acid trip? We don't know.
Still don't know if this is the LSD. But the Jose Maria basically kind of, I think, from what I remember anyway, kind of takes one for the team, sacrifices himself. He allows himself to be caught by what the priest is seeing as a big old goat, like standing upright on hind legs, and he's got Jose Maria, kind of in a chokehold, and then tosses him basically off the building
structure. Yeah, so that's it for Samwise. He's gone.
Yes.
And the priest heads back downstairs. He does, I think, have a gun. He has one of the Clean Up Madrid people's guns. And he gets back downstairs just in time to see them light Cavan on fire.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm blanking, but I'm presuming the priest shoots them dead, because otherwise I don't know how he gets rid of them. He shoots them dead, is able to put Cavan out, but he does sort of go over to establish what had happened to the people underneath the cardboard. And he lifts up the cardboard, and we do see, this is the disturbing image. We do see a dead baby. Then that's kind of all. We just see the body. We don't necessarily see a face or anything, but so we do get the sense that, okay, this is the Antichrist. He's been killed, or it's just an innocent baby with innocent people that got shot by these wackos.
Well, just was born to a homeless couple, but
yeah. And then we do get right in that final moment, and I watched it again today because I wasn't clear if what I thought I saw is what I saw. But we do see the priest looking over this family, and we see horns, the shadow of horns, and what sound like hoofs stepping toward him. And he turns around and fires his gun at it, and it is just a human. Like we see the shadow of the goat, but by the time he turns around, what he shoots at is just a dude. It's one of the Clean Up Madrid dudes. Once again, leading us to wonder, was any of this real, or were these people just all tripped out all night long, just going on a binger? So I don't, or is it binger? Bender. Thank you.
Bender.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm not familiar with these terminologies, but yes, on a bender. So yes, that is the end of our Christmas Eve night. And then what happens is then the next scene is some time has passed. We're now in the daylight. A couple of months have passed, presumably. Society did not end. The Dark Zone show has picked up a new host because, as far as they know, Professor Cavan disappeared and was never seen or heard from again. But we do see that Professor Cavan did survive his burns, and he's sitting on a park bench with the priest. They both looked kind of like they might be unhoused now.
Yeah.
And they're just sort of talking about
we saved the world and nobody knows.
We saved the world and nobody's ever going to know about it. And they're like, oh, well, isn't that the way? So come on now, let's go to wherever. And that's the end of the movie, is these two guys walking off together, hand in hand.
I'm kind of sad that Jose Maria is the one that died.
Right.
He should be on that park bench with them.
And I do feel bad a little bit for Professor Cavan, because it's like, man, he had a great cushioned life before this priest showed up.
You were living in that top of the high rise.
Yeah. Yeah. So a little bit of fun stuff that I found, that we found when we were digging around on this movie. This movie, at the time that it came out, was a real rarity for Spain, just in terms of, up until that point, there weren't movies. Certainly there weren't movies that took stabs at religion in this way, having a priest do all of this stuff, sinning, blasphemy, all of that stuff. But also just that it takes place there in Madrid kind of made it an unusual film for the time. So, yeah, I mean, I try to gauge the movies that we watch based on like rewatchability, and so I rewatched it this morning. It is an easy movie to put on and watch, and there are things that sort of jumped out at me the second time around as being funnier than the first time when I was actively trying to pay attention to plot, and this time I was more or less just enjoying it. So it's a good, fun, silly film. And I don't know if there was like I do have one thing I want to read, but while I'm looking at that, are there other things you wanted to say about it coming out of watching it?
Just like the basic questions, like why did he think the Antichrist was going to be born of all the places in the world, Madrid? And was any of this that they saw, was it the devil? Was it the Antichrist? Was it just the results of taking the LSD? Or was the whole point that like these clean up Madrid people, like how hypocritical, right? Clean up Madrid and you're the ones that are, being violent,
Right.
that you're the ones causing. So it's kind of people, right? We're the one, we're the boogeymen.
And it was like, I really wish I really wish that you had watched this just last night, because your brain would be so much fresher. Because I watched it again and I'm still confused. The guy who becomes the new Dart Zone host, I was watching it again, trying to figure out if that face is one of the Clean Up Madrid people. Because I never got a good look at any of those guys. I know one of them looked very kind of Miami Vice-ish. He was just very dressed, very preppy. And the rest of them just looked, nondescript. There was nothing really special about them. So I don't know. I was just like, who is this? I'm wondering if that guy who replaces him as host is one of the Clean Up Madrid people. And what if the Clean Up Madrid people are the true, like, what if he truly is the Antichrist, or, the devil himself? I don't know. I was just trying to reach on and really make sense of the priest plot. And I really wanted to believe that maybe he was onto something, but maybe not. Maybe he just went crazy. So,
but then if it wasn't just the LSD, if what they were seeing was real and these Clean Up Madrid people were demonic, then why would they be trying to kill the Antichrist? Like,
right.
Aren't they on the same team?
I know. Yeah.
That's what didn't make sense.
Yeah. So, because the whole time, if one of the Clean Up Madrid people was the devil himself, why would they, why would he, whoever he was, try to protect the baby,
protecting
the minute that the priest and the psychic and the heavy metal dude show up? I feel like there's a joke in there somewhere with those three. Like, these three people walk into a bar. There is one thing I wanted to share with folks, because there is a book that is linked in one of the resources we have, and I'm putting this on my list if I can try to find it. It's called Latin Hitchcock: How Almodóvar, Amenábar de la Iglesias del Toro and Campanella became notorious. It's a book by Donna Kircher. And so there's a section that I wanted to read to you guys where she talks specifically about this film. Talk specifically about this film. It says, De la Iglesia's second feature film, Day of the Beast, was even more ambitious in artistic design and mise en scène. It's a French word, I don't know how to pronounce it. Than mutant action. He called upon his knowledge, talking about De la Iglesia, he called upon his knowledge of Hitchcock to reach a wider audience, and of all of his films, Day of the Beast is the one that most directly alludes to specific scenes and techniques from Hitchcock films. Moreover, De la Iglesia attributes the dark sense of humor in this film, which was marketed as una comedia satánica, to Hitchcock's concept of comedy. Which is interesting because, like, you know what it made me think of? The scene where the mother is trying to kill the priest. And at one point, I think I think she like has him over a window, like she's gonna drop him or something, and so you see him kind of, hanging out this window, bloodied and everything. It kind of reminded me of Rear Window. It kind of reminded me of Jimmy Stewart in Rear Window. So I can kind of see that reference there. The paragraph goes on to say, close analysis of Day of the Beast and the criticism that it provoked shows the pivotal role Hitchcock played in transforming De La Iglesia's career from that of a marginal cult director to a mainstream commercial one. So I don't know. I mean, I just thought that little mention of Hitchcock was interesting because I did kind of see that similarity, particularly in that scene where he's hanging out the window. So we'll link that for you guys. The paperback is available. You can find that book on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, all of those places. Let's see. What else did I have? I think that's it. De La Iglesia does have a couple of books out. So for anybody interested, there's Ron, tell me if I'm saying this wrong. Payasos en la lavadora. Clowns in la lavadora. Clowns in the washing machine. And then there's another book called Recuérdame que te odi. Remind me to hate you. So those are books that he's put out. I don't know. I mean, I think he obviously has other movies. I haven't watched any of his other films. I would, though. I'd be interested in seeing some of his other work, seeing some of his more recent stuff. But yeah, I don't know. Recommend or not recommend, Ron?
I mean, I'd recommend it. It's an easy movie to watch.
Yeah. Did you find anything not scary, obviously?
No.
How was the horror factor for you? If even that, not that terrible at all, really.
No.
We don't. I mean, we see people getting lit on fire. That's not great. We see the priest get.
But it's not gory.
Yeah.
Like really, the part that grossed me out the most was when she's chopping up the rabbit for the rabbit's stew.
I couldn't figure out what I was looking at. I was like, is she killing the rabbit? And then because we just see this shot of the rabbit's head just like face on, and then she lays it down and you see, oh, okay, it's already dead. And then she like chops it up some more and it's like, I don't need to see all that.
That was the grossest part for me. But yeah, I mean, it's not
her
not
shooting
scary.
off his ear was a part for me that I was just like, I don't need to see that. Yeah, not scary though. But yeah, there is, like I said, there is some good physical comedy bits to see in it, and so it's definitely worth a watch. And yeah, for the time period, I can see why this would have been groundbreaking and provoking and all of that, provocative, I should say. So yeah, give it a watch
for anybody who's devout Catholic, for sure. Or I can see where they take offense.
But yeah, if it's free on Amazon Prime for you guys, as it is for us, give it a watch. Ring in the holiday season with this one. And I will say, this movie is also on a number of holiday movie lists that we've also linked for you guys. So one of those is top 50 Christmas horror movies we shouldn't have screened for a class of preschoolers. It's on one of those lists. I don't know that I think this is a joke. And then so. Yeah. And then it's on like several ones. There's a screenrant.com list that it's on. There's a creepycatalog.com list that it's on. So a number of good ones that make it worth your watch. Yeah, I think in one of the articles we have listed for you guys, De La Iglesia says our first scriptwriter was terrible. He was like a bad Toby Hooper. Why do I always say Hooper? It's Toby Hooper. We had to change it because I can't think in a serious way. So maybe this was a script, the first version of the script, they were trying to be more serious with it and play it straight. And he says, I can't think in a serious way. Audiences usually don't believe in anything. So when they go, I don't know, that's kind of harsh. So when they go to serious horror movies, they say, I'm going to see a monster and laugh at it. And if you shoot something like this in a comedic way, you can show the monster and do whatever you want without fear of making something that, looks stupid. So yeah, I guess from the get-go, he wanted to play it for laughs. And it was just about finding a script that would do that. So we've linked all of that stuff for you. I guess that's it. We can go into last segment. Is there anything else that you are taking in right now? I started watching last night the hold on. You're Speaking with the Zodiac Killer or something on Netflix. Hold on, I'm looking it up.
That's what it's called?
It's like a documentary. It's called You're Speaking with the Zodiac. So it's a new Netflix docuseries that came out relatively recently, this year anyway. And so I started watching it last night. It was pretty good. I mean, the Zodiac Killer's been covered ad nauseum, but this is kind of interesting in that it kind of has brought people, the guy who's long Arthur Lee Allen, who's long been kind of labeled as the guy who was the Zodiac Killer, kind of brings together his people from his family, people that maybe knew him as Arthur Lee Allen. Mm-hmm. So kind of talking about it from that perspective. So I just started last night, so it's pretty interesting. But are you taking in anything else right now, TV or book-wise?
Book-wise, I'm still just kind of still in my historical mystery reading phase. I kind of go through phases. So that's what I've been reading and watching. I haven't really been watching just like a lot of YouTube videos. I did check out the new, it's not really a reboot of Matlock with Kathy Bates.
Yeah.
Which doesn't really have anything to do with the old Andy Griffith show, other than she references that's she has the same name as the TV show. So but it has a little bit of a twist.
It's like a procedural.
It's like a lawyer. It's a law firm. She's a lawyer.
Oh, okay.
But there's a bit of a twist to it. So it's not really a reboot because she's not playing any relation to the character in the old TV show.
Character. Okay, cool.
In fact, in this universe that the show is set in, that was a show, so they know it's a show. And does that make sense?
Yeah.
That makes sense what I just said. It's a TV show in this show as well. And
yes.
So she just makes a joke that, yes, that's the same name as the lawyer in the old TV show, kind of thing. But I'm just kind of keeping it light. I'm just kind of not in the mood to take in anything super heavy. Or I know our mother keeps sending us, you need to watch this movie, and it's super sad. No, thank you.
Yeah, she did message us about, and I had seen stuff about this movie. I don't know if it's a movie or if it's a series on Netflix. I had seen that it was coming out. I didn't realize
I'm not watching it, Mom.
Oh, I don't think the one she messaged us, the most recent one, I don't think that one's sad. I mean, I think it's mystery thriller is what it is. Where is the thing? Yes, here it is. Wait, no. Pedro Paramo, which has, I know it's got the guy that was Namor in Wakanda Forever. It's got that guy in it, but I don't know who else is in it. Pedro Paramo, 2024 film.
Spooky movie on Netflix. Oh, maybe we should have read that one.
Well, like, it's horror mystery is what it's billed as. It's also like fairly new. It just came out. So I don't know. I like that we tend to go for stuff that's maybe a little bit older or has been out a while. If we start talking about something as new as this, there's a very good chance that not everybody has seen it. And then we truly are just spoiling it for people. We're going to
spoil it for you.
So, but I do want to watch it. I remember seeing posters for it and thinking it looked interesting. So, yeah. What is it? Tenoch Huerta is his name. Tenoch Huerta. So, and then other folks. But yeah. Well, so in addition to book club episode coming up in January, we're reading Extended Stay by Juan Martinez. So if you have that book, or if you're planning to read that book, start reading it now, because we've got a discussion episode coming up in January. We are making December our step outside of Spanish language horror month. We are going to try and do a couple of Christmas movies. Ron, I really want to watch Krampus because I've never seen it. Have you ever seen it?
Mm-mm.
Okay, well, I want to say it's on HBO. I will verify. It came out in 2015.
Is that an American movie?
I think so. I think it's an American. I think it's an American movie. Yeah, USA. It came out in 2015. It is a horror comedy. this one might be more genuinely your idea of a horror comedy. I don't know. It's got some funny people in it. I don't know if you want to do that one or not, because yeah, it is an American movie. Do we want to try and branch out and do
I'm game
something
for
in another
whatever.
language?
I'm game for whatever.
I'm gonna watch Krampus at some point, whether it's for the show or on my own. So we can always decide and announce it later. But that brings me to my other thing that I wanted to announce. So Veronica and I have talked about doing this for quite a while. We've been kind of sleeping on it. Maybe we were going to make it a 2025 thing, but honestly, with the way things are going in our country and in the world, and I just feel like, why not? Why postpone joy? Why postpone good things? So Veronica and I are launching a Patreon, and the way that the Patreon is going to be set up is that we're not asking for anything. It is free to join and be part of the Patreon community. If you want those extra perks, we are just having one tier. It's a $3 tier, and with that tier comes video episode, like at least one video episode a month, one maybe happy hour live stream a month, where it's just us. It's a chance. Certainly me for sure. I'm not holding Veronica to this. She does not have to show up for every single happy hour live stream, but it's one creepy happy hour a month where we would sort of get together and also use that as an opportunity to explore spooky topics that we don't always have time to touch on with the format of our show. So it's a chance to sort of talk about extra things that we don't always have a chance to launch into. This is also where community discussion would happen. The platform's kind of built in that way. So this is if you're wanting to be part of a more active book club discussion with us, then please consider joining the Patreon community. We will also be posting our recipe cards there for cocktails, book club cocktails, ahead of time. So you'll get that stuff ahead of when we post it on all social media. We're also enabling community members there to be able to pitch us movie ideas and book ideas. So you'll get to have more of a say in those kinds of things. And then semi-periodically, we also want to do things where we might have watch parties where we watch a movie together and kind of talk about it in real time. Yeah. And then someday, if I can figure out the technology, I would love for us to do like a virtual live show. So, those things we're going to be making available to the public at large, but Patreon people would have first access to that. So please consider joining. We'll link all that information for you guys in the show notes of this episode. But yeah, we would love to have you be part of our Patreon, and we would love to have you with us so that you can help us grow it together, because we're going to be stumbling through it and figuring it out in those early months, and you can be in on the ground level with us as we stumble through it. Okay. All right. Well, is there anything else you wanted to add, Ron, before we close up shop?
No. Gosh, but can you even believe it's already going to be December?
I know.
It's like we're just all hurtling towards our death.
Spiraling like a meteor headed for somewhere.
Time just goes so fast. It would be cool at the end of the year, maybe it's part of like our last 2024 recording, just to kind of revisit maybe like our own individual favorite book that we covered, favorite movie that we saw.
Well, what do you mean revisit? Like watch it again, read it again,
no,
talk about
God,
it again?
No.
God no.
No, not. I don't mean that in a bad way. It's just time wise, that would be difficult for me.
Like, my bandwidth is maxed out.
No, just to kind of present our own personal, my favorite movie was, and maybe my least favorite movie, just to talk about it, just as a mention, kind of like not an an awards show type of thing, but kind of just that idea of, like my top movie, our top watch for me in 2024 was this.
Yeah.
My top book. And it might be, slim margins of what separates the best from the worst, but
I think like the way it's going to work out once again this year, we are going to be the way our recording schedule works out is we will be having a Christmas Eve show. So Christmas Eve is Tuesday, December 24th. So our second December episode would release that Monday before. So maybe that could be a good episode where we kind of do our end of year best of list, maybe not so best of list or whatever. So, and talk about that a little bit on that show. But yeah, I would love to put Krampus. I nominate Krampus for one of our December movies. Also, Ron, I want to, and if you're listening and you have recommendations, send them our way. Join the Patreon and send them there. But I want you to take a look at this, Ron. It's a 2010 fiendish fantasy action horror comedy film. That's a lot. Called Rare Exports, A Christmas Tale. And
Rare Exports.
And I'm not sure where this would be available for us to watch, but it did come up in my search. And guys, if you've seen it and you liked it, let us know. But
I did something that has been popping up across my feeds lately is, what is it called? It's a Mexican zombie movie.
Christmas?
No, it's not Christmas really, so it would just be like later.
Mm-hmm.
What is it called? Apocalypse Z or something like that. But anyway, it's a Mexican zombie movie. And that's my jam. We all know zombies are my jam. So I'm going to be
okay, we'll find
making us watch that at some point in 2025.
Okay, we'll find it and we can do that for sure. I want to make you watch my New Year. Well, I guess we can talk about New Year's resolutions at the time, but one of them is going to be that I want to make you watch The Orphanage. So that's going on my list.
Is that Del Toro?
I think he produced it. He didn't direct it, but I think he had a hand in it for sure. I think he was at the production level. So, yeah, that's you got to watch that one. We got to discuss that one. So for sure. But all right, we will, guys. This is going to be the last episode before Gratitude Day. So if you celebrate, have a great one. Try to spend the day thinking of all of the good things in your life. And if you can think of nothing, you have us in your life.
Yes.
And we love you. And we hope you have a great week. But... It's not nothing. So, all right. Well, thank you everyone for listening. And we will see you next time.
Bye. Don't Watch at Night is a Nest production hosted by me, Veronica, and Valerie. Editing by Valerie. Music by Omar Chakor. Production support for this episode provided by Lorenzo Villarreal and Alex Street. Listen to new episodes of Don't Watch at Night every other Monday, and don't forget to give us a rate and review. It's the best way to help us grow.